Het-Heru, Assalamu alaikum, Namaste, Heru Nefer. This is Kasankma Keperu with a live video for you. And in this video, I want to talk about the real secret of mastering magic. But before I do that, please hit the like button in this video. If this is your first time to my channel, welcome. Subscribe to the channel to get notifications of when I go live or when I upload new videos. And consider becoming a Patreon supporter. You can do so for as little as $1 or $5 a month, and you get exclusive videos, tutorials, and white papers, and all that other good stuff. So I want to talk to you. Hold on one second. Okay, cool. I want to talk to you about the real secret to mastering magic. All right. And for you to understand the depth and breadth of this, I have to give you my story as an example, because one of the things I set out to was to become a master magi, a master magician. Now, along the way, you can picture me, going through it like da 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 da. I want to be a magician. Along the way, there's a lot of works that are out there for you to reference, like the work of Aleister Crowley, black magic, the Japanese black magic, the Kujikiri. India, they have their own field of black magic you can get into. And they're very, very secretive about some of that stuff. And some of that stuff is very detailed and in-depth. Or you can really start looking toward the African shaman and the wealth of information that they left behind. But one of the things I found very interesting about all of this was it made use of tools. And what I mean by that is like tools in terms of herbs, stones, crystals, doing the ritual on a certain day at a certain time to a certain deity. And it could be very laborious, to get the right herbs, to get the right potions and ointments and things of that nature, and only to see very moderate results, depending upon how deep you go, what system of magic you practice. And one of the things that you don't know, or they don't tell you, is that there are so many systems of magic to practice that not all of them are going to work for you, because you are brought here with an incarnation objective, with a destiny. You are brought here with a core frequency of vibration, and that vibration can be attuned to only certain types of magical practices. Like Aleister Crowley, I believe, was into ceremonial magic. So, and the magic of the Golden Dawn. So along my studies, I found that, I was really getting deep into it and trying to be this master magi. And of course, there are levels to it, but I wanted something to be very streamlined and very to the point. Lo and behold, purely by accident, I stumbled onto something that kind of mushroomed. Actually, it was two important incidences that changed my life. One was when I manifested somebody that I was really trying to connect with. And in the second instance, not only did I manifest another person I was trying to connect with, but I manifested an entire situation. And the second situation was so bad and so unbelievable, I had to excuse myself from the building and go out there and catch a breath of air, because at that point in my life, I realized that there was something going on, that there was a matrix, that there was a thing called magic, and something was happening. And I also realized that the traditional ritual where I'm gathering the herbs and the colors and the candles and doing all of the magical incantations probably wasn't best for me, because I saw such a dramatic impact on doing the simplest things. So I said, what's going on here? And that's when I took a turn and started looking into other things and saying, maybe this is being purposely put out there to overcomplicate things. And then when I started researching and talking with other master magis, they were informing me, but that a lot of the things I'm reading are pretty much exaggerated, that history is written by the victor. You know how it is. So you have these master magicians who are leaving their works and writing things about their lives. And they, of course, allowing the egos to get the best of them. And they're talking about all the powerful things that they can do and all that. So you have to be very careful about who you're following, what you're reading, and to gain an understanding. And one of the things that really got to me was one of the master teachers that I was learning from was still suffering from very simple problems. And I said, well, if you're all that powerful, how are you still dealing with these little annoyances that you shouldn't be dealing with? So at that point, I said, well, there's something not right. What I want you to understand is that the act of being a magician and mastering magic is not as complicated as they make it out to be. And it really goes back to understanding some very basic principles that life is not happening to you, life is responding to you. And that's really a very profound statement, because if you understand that, that sets the basis of what your core belief should be about. So you have to internalize certain belief systems. And here's the key. What I learned was that one of the biggest impediments to my magic coming to full manifestation was my belief systems. Though I was told to acquire this stone, acquire this herb, call India to get these herbs or these books, but one of the things that I failed at was to encompass the right belief system, which then took me back to understanding the matrix and quantum mechanics. And when I started to delve into that and things like reality transurfing, then the pieces of the puzzle began to come together. And I began to understand that it's not so much about the tools, but it's more so about knowing thyself and who you truly are, which is God, man, God, woman. Het-Heru, I said, oh yeah, I still have that injury. I'm still battling with that. So I have two doctors. I have two doctors that are working with me, and 3 doctor's appointments next week. So we'll see how it goes. Until then, I just keep putting myself in trance to deal with the pain, and we'll see. We'll see how things pan out. Thank you for asking. So I began to understand very clearly that it begins with me. And from that point, you can work wonders. And what I mean by that, there's a saying that it's no measure of health to be well-adjusted to a profoundly insane society. And I quickly realized that it wasn't anything wrong with me, is that society was messed up, and society was conditioning me or programming me with negative beliefs. And this was the greatest impediment to working my magic. So I began this journey to step back from those belief systems and saying, I'm going to start totally rejecting it. And the second incident that I mentioned, where I kind of manifested an entire situation and an individual, was such a shock to my system and rocked my entire world, that I was somewhat in disbelief, but also elated to know that I finally had realized what was going on in the world. And I'll relate some other things to you, but I won't go into that because you'll need to study more into magic and become an initiate to understand where I'm coming from. But one of the dark secrets I began to understand is that there is something watching us. Let me say that again, something watching us. And I felt that presence for a while. I knew that. But it wasn't until I started studying the deep works of other magi's that it made sense. And they were telling me this, but I had ignored it previously. So it takes a while for you to accept the truth of the matter of what's going on, that you're living in a controlled environment, that you're living in the matrix. And there is a presence out there, and it's not a good presence, okay? But you can deal with that and overcome it. Now, I don't focus on that in my teachings because there's enough people out there teaching fear-based programming that I don't need to do that. They're already, doing lectures, traveling the world, speaking in front of mass audiences. And they're out there already giving you the information about who is behind the matrix. What I want to tell you is to give you more of a positive aspect, because I've gone down that route where I've been focusing on the negative stuff, and it's just not going to be healthy for your spirit. But anyway, in coming into this knowledge and understanding, I realized very quickly that if I were to reprogram my subconscious mind, then I could be that magician. Then I could work those miracles. But it's easier said than done, you see? So along comes an encounter I had with a channeler, and very well-known channeler. Again, he travels all over the world, in fact, and speaks in Japan and in different places. And he channels spirits or entities, whatever you want to call them. And I had opportunity to discuss with him, and the two of us had a very interesting discourse. And I challenged him on the multidimensional thought process and what is really going on. And I know for a fact it even awakened him to a different understanding of things. And that video actually is still on the internet. I think they tried to take it down because I was really putting some stuff out there. I'm like, what about this? What about this? Okay, let's talk about this. And it was a very positive discourse, but I think he really learned something from it. But I, in turn, learned something from it. And what I learned was the fact that all of these accessories are merely permission slips, meaning that where is my thing at? What did I have it here? Well, I'll use this as an example. The tarot, the magic wand, the herbs, they're all permission slips because they're really symbols. They're not really real objects. They're a projection of what's going on inside of you, because everything in the fourth dimensional experience is not reality, but it stands in for reality. When I began to get that the only reason this works is through a belief system. Do you understand what I mean? The only reason this red candle works is through a belief system. Tehuti, or Hermes Trismegistus, tells us that nothing has a quality in and of itself. That it is our belief or perception of something that colors it. So therefore, the question that I pose is, do you really need the herbs? Do you really need the candle? Do you really need the mantra? And when you challenge that belief system, that all these things are nothing more than a permission slip, then you begin to get to the heart of the matter. That, in fact, the power resides within you. That you are the beginning and the end to everything. And then I said, it is like the sugar pill, the placebo effect. You go to a doctor, you keep complaining about imaginary sickness. The doctor gives you an imaginary medication, which is a sugar pill. You take it and you feel better because your mind is, you're activating something within the mind, which is a belief system, and which is changing and having a physiological effect upon you or a biological effect upon you. But it's really you healing yourself. It's really you shifting to a parallel world to encompass the individual who is healthy, the person who is healthy. Now, this is not so simplistic. And the problem that I have with a lot of those in the occult and New Age community is that their knowledge has only reached a certain level. And that the real magic is hoarded by either your dark magicians, your black magicians, or your real occult spiritualists who you're not going to be able to find in the yellow pages, okay? You're going to have to do some traveling to meet them and to sit at their feet and learn from them, which was always my life aspiration. I remember studying magic and saying, I want to go to Africa and learn from a shaman. But there are very few good shamans still in existence, because one of the things the Illuminati, the ruling elite, did was to murder them, to kill them off, so that they could control the occult, so they could control the planet through rituals and satanic sacrifices. One of the reasons that we are trapped in this matrix is because we have not learned to transcend the physical body. And there's nothing, you should not be afraid to sacrifice yourself to a cause that is greater than you. But we're so trapped in 3D, we have fears. We're afraid of what may happen to us. But when you start to internalize and go within and understand that you are consciousness and you have always been and always shall be, that you do not go back, your history does not go back millions or trillions. Your history goes back to where time did not even exist. And that truly you have nothing to fear. But the problem is we have an animal aspect to us, the Sahu. And the Sahu will kick in. And it has a autopilot, automatic reaction to certain things. And that's good, because you need that fight or flight aspect to you, because it can get you out of danger. But eventually you need to rise to the level of the neocortex, or to resurrect Oser and to become God, and to not respond to the animal instinct. Now, many people think spirituality is about overcoming the ego and purging of the shadow self. Yeah, it encompasses that. But the true essence of what it is psychic levels within you, your mind, and exploring the depths of that, which is why one of my favorite books of all time is Psychonaut. That book changed my life, because it talks about you being a type of astronaut of the mind, going to the depths of the subconscious realm, or as the Egyptians said, the duat, and exploring the duat. And in the duat, there are gates that you go through to learn knowledge and gain wisdom. And when you go through those gates, and after you come out, you're not afraid of death anymore, because you've explored those aspects of death. So what am I saying here? What I'm saying is that if you want to really master magic, you can study crystals. You can study herbs. I'm not saying don't. Those are very good tools, but they are permission slips. But the real test of who you should, the real test will come from, one, life, and two, what you're doing, or what your overall aspiration and goal is. Let me back up and explain that. If everything you do centers around you becoming a master magician, then you will achieve that. But if you have these peripheral goals and ideas and emotions and beliefs, then you're always going to be distracted. I got to a point when and I'm going to use me as a case study, because that best illustrates what I'm trying to say, that I was so deep into this that I was not sleeping purposely to keep myself awake so I could access the subconscious mind, taking various types of drugs, and not the harmful drugs, various types of drugs to help me go into the psychic realm, and going through mass deep hypnosis to purge myself of the Western conditioning and ideas, and to reach a level of where I could reprogram that to understand that I am God. So one of the things that impairs you from manifesting things you want in your life is because you have a belief system that tells you that that's not possible. It's not possible. You can't manifest something out of thin air. That's your belief system. Oh, you can say, Kasanga, I got a new belief system. I understand that I'm God and I can manifest. No, you don't. You're a damn liar. Because you're controlled by ergobor. You're controlled by a pendulum. And that pendulum tells you that you cannot manifest on the fourth dimensional plane. It tells you that. You may consciously not accept that, but on a deep subconscious level, it's there. That's based on the 100 monkey principle. Ma'at principle is the interdependence and interrelationship between all things. What one person believes, you believe whether you like it or not. And the only way to purge yourself of that is for us to get together as a collective and work on meditating and getting into the subconscious mind to get rid of those belief systems. Because as an individual, you're never going to purge yourself of that belief system because the pendulum controls you. You're not going to do it. Now, I'm not saying you can't get 90% of the way there. Yes, you can. And that's what you should be striving for, to get as close as possible. But inevitably, the pendulum has a hold on you. And if you try to mess with it and purge yourself of that belief system, then it's going to send the men in black after you. Hence is what the matrix is about. The pendulum has the directive of self-preservation. If you are purging yourself of that belief system, which is what the pendulum is about, it's an intelligent energy. It's a belief system. If you're trying to purge yourself of that, do you think it's gonna die willingly? No, it's gonna fight back. What feeds the belief system is the masses of the people, the masses of us. You want to know why we can't perform miracles as individuals? Because the masses just don't believe in that. This is why I was going through such a lengthy process of going deep. I went out there, I got some of the best hypnotherapists to put me in the trance and to reprogram my belief system where I did believe that I can manifest things. And I was ODing on the drugs and getting what would happen every time. I would go right to the hospital. they would have to get the drugs out my system, out my blood. And then I would go home and I was like, I was almost there. And I'll go take some more drugs. OD, go right back to the hospital. They're like, is it you again, Kasak? Weren't you here last month? And almost having seizures and scaring my family and scaring me too. But that is how dedicated I was. And then I got to the point of where I almost messed my mind up because I was like, I'm going to trap myself in a sensory deprivation chamber. I'm going to take these herbs and then I'm going to meditate on this and go into the other realm. And then, yeah, but if you're not careful and if you're not directed by a master magi, you go insane. You mess your mind up. But luckily, I got to a point where I said, okay, enough, back off, And then I got cocky. I said, well, I'm gonna manifest a demon, and I'm gonna command that demon to go out there and to eliminate racism. So I manifested a demon. The demon kicked me out my own damn house. I thought I was a bad magician. That demon kicked me out my own house. I had to move. I was like, oh my God, I'm like, it won't listen to me. And I'm up there contacting other witches and other magi saying, the demon won't listen to me. What do I do? How do I control this demon? I'm sleeping. The demon's talking to me. Kill yourself. Kill yourself. I'm like, all right. This is it. That's enough. And I'm sleeping. The demon's touching my toes and feeling my leg. And I'm like, oh, okay, I got to move. So, but in hindsight, well, those are good things because it showed my dedication and what I was willing to go through to reach that next level. You don't have to go that far, But what I want to say to you is that all of these things you may see in the New Age community about, astrology and numerology and herbs and gems, they're good things, but they're just permission slips. The real work that will take you to the next level and beyond is the work of the mind. understanding that you got to reprogram who you are, and you have to be somebody else. That's why I'm big into possession now. I'm like, I'm going to possess the spirit of this individual, because that is helpful and that works. Because when you do that, then you take on a different persona and you take on a different belief system without hacking your mind and driving yourself crazy. Okay. And I remember lying in the hospital once with the IV stuck in me and looking up at the television because they told me I couldn't leave. I had to stay the night to monitor me. That I was saying to myself, well, here's the turning point. Am I going to reach that level I want to reach? Or do I just take it a step at a time? And I said, I'm going to take it a step at a time. You know what I mean? But there, even in taking those baby steps, there are wondrous things that you can accomplish. And I want to emphasize there are limitations. You know what I mean? And one of the things I was saying was about the pendulums not allowing you to leave or to just walk away from them. They won't let you do that very easily. And they're created for a reason. But there's still these oases in the desert in what you're doing, that where you can still perform great miracles. But what I want you to not do is to depend on something. Now, here's another thing that I realized that will take you far, and this idea of outcome dependence, and it's very hard. And I struggle with this too. You have to learn to walk in the middle, meaning you have to do things in life for the sake of doing them without having a vested interest in the outcome. And that's when the real magic happens. And in fact, Vadim Zeland in his book Transurfing devotes a whole chapter to this about the key to manifesting and shifting to parallel worlds, is that you cannot have the outcome in mind. Because when you do that, the magic doesn't manifest. It just won't happen. But it is when you're freed from the outcome, but still have the goal in mind, that the wonders start to blossom. Keep that in mind. Because too much of the time we get into a tight situation and we're like, let me just work a ritual or cast a spell to get out of this situation. You should be living this 24/7. You shouldn't have to wait till you get into a tough situation to start working your magic. You should be like immersed in your magical practices every day as a way of life. Now, I'm going to leave you with this. Oh, Aset, thank you so much. Het-Heru, thank you. Well, say dwa, as it means thank you, Kemetic language. Het-Heru Glass, how are you? Yes, tarot is a tool because you can intuit the wisdom and knowledge within yourself. It's all there. Tahuti or Hermes, it was in you. Now, let me let you in on this little secret, which allowed me to start manifesting like crazy. All right. I remember when my magic went warp speed, when it really started to take off, and I got good. Well, let me just say, I'm okay. I'm okay as a magician. I'm learning, I'm testing, I'm growing. But the real game changer for me was when I stopped and said, nothing I'm seeing is real. This is all an illusion. She's not real. He's not real. There's a girl in the bed next to me. I don't know her name, but she's not real. And that car is not real. That plane is not real. When I began to vibrate to that frequency where I truly believed that none of this was real, that's when I could manifest. And that is what your goal is, to get to a point that you believe to the core of your being that what you're experiencing is phony. It's an illusion. Now here comes the shock. Two things. Number one, it's only you. You're the one. There's nobody else here but you. Surprise, surprise. You are the only one here. Everyone else is just an avatar. And the other surprise, there is something watching you. Now your goal is to say, what is watching you? What is watching you? You don't see CBS and the Eye of Heru. You don't see the Eye of Heru everywhere for no reason. That is the ruling elite trying to tell you that there is something watching you. Ponder that for a while. There is a conspiracy theorist, and his name will come to me soon. But one of the things he said about this presence, he said, one day it will reveal itself to us. One day it will reveal itself. And it may not be in our lifetimes, but it will do it. And that's that's a guarantee, you know? And when they asked him, is there hope for mankind? He says, well, there is a light at the tunnel, and it's a train headed directly for you, and it's going to knock you out. He said, we need to wake up. We need to wake up because we are asleep. And what I'm telling you is, resurrect Osir within you. Become Isis, Osset. She was known for her loving devotion to gathering the pieces of Asar back together so that he could be resurrected again and assume the throne. The God within you is buried deep in the Duat. Devote yourself as much as Osset did to resurrecting that truth within your being, that you are God man and God woman. And the day you resurrect Osir within you is the day all hell will break loose, because then you're going to have the ruling elite running. But we got to do this on a massive, massive basis. It cannot be just you, because you cannot defeat the pendulum alone. You cannot defeat those ergobores alone. You're dealing with supernatural entities that are very powerful, very powerful. So how do you get together with people of like mind? Through synchronicity. When your vibration is aligned with all of what I'm saying, that vibration will permeate outward, and you will find that people will come to you, and people will naturally have an affinity toward you. And then the core frequency of the planet will start to change. We do not want to get into a military confrontation, a verbal confrontation, a confrontation of ideologies. We don't need to do that because we can't win that way. But if you can start on that journey of being Osset or Isis, to devote yourself to resurrecting of Asir, then that's how it can be done. And it will be done that way, because it's the only way it can be done. Because our ancestors laid the plan out for us to follow in the mythos, the mythology of Asar and Asset. That's how it's going to be done. So I want to bring this to a close. I want to thank you, Magi, for attending. And I hope I didn't get too deep on you with this one. But I just wanted to bring some of those enlightened experiences that I had to light, so that maybe you could benefit and grow from that. So thank you all. Dua'u. This is Kasank Maya Keperu, son of Tuti and Ma'at. My aunt is the beautiful Het-Heru. Until my next broadcast, Amin Ra.